Welcome to Session 8A, Entering Data and Resolving Edits in the Long-Term Care Screening Document in MMIS, Part 2. In Session 8, Part 1, we entered a new screening document and used the Edit key F9 to view an edit that could be forced. The document was then approved and saved. In this session, we will continue by adding another screening document for the same person and again review and correct edits. I'm starting on the key panel screen where the A or C in the action code field can be used to add screening documents after a first document is saved for a person. When you use either action code and the document type is an L, a copy of the last saved screening document appears. I will now enter another document with activity type 07 to update the citizenship and Medicare fields. First, I enter the action code C, add the document type L and the person's PMI. When I press Control, a copy of the last approved document I had previously saved appears. This is because I used document type L on the key panel screen. When you use document type H in order to enter a health risk assessment screening, these screens would not contain any data from any previously saved document. There are some fields that will be blank and show as question marks when I try to use the Control key to move off of the Alt-1 screen without entering data in those fields. These fields are date of birth, activity type, activity date, LTC county field or the lead agency, and the case manager help plan certified assessor number if blank. Requiring you to re-enter this data is how MMIS verifies that this is the right person and reminds you there may be a new action, new date, agency, and person performing the selected activity. Note that the activity type field will later be protected, and it controls which fields can be entered and what edits will post on a document. If you added the wrong activity type, you can still save the suspended document with F3 to save your data on other screens, and then correct the activity type field by using action code A or C to bring up a copy of the saved suspended document. I type data in the Alt-1 fields and press Control to continue to the Alt-2 screen. When using either activity type 5 or 7, MMIS will protect many fields so changes cannot be made to those fields when you use these administrative activity types. Fields that are protected in MMIS are white, while those that can be changed are shown in green. The fields on Alt-2 that are left blank are hospital transfer, current housing, and current program license. You can skip the hospital transfer field for the elderly waiver, alternative care, and essential community supports program. I enter data in the other two blank fields and have an opportunity to update any other field with current information. After entering these fields, I press Control to continue to Alt-3. On Alt-3, all fields except case mix and ventilator dependency are protected when using activity type 07. I press Control to move to the Alt-4 screen. Alt-4 shows information from sections D, E, and F on DHS Form 3427. Here, the assessment result and effective date fields need to be re-entered. Most of section E is protected except for the toileting assistance field, which needs to be either a yes, a Y, or no, an N if left blank. I press Control to move to Alt-5. The service summary can be updated here. I can add a new service, delete a service no longer needed, and change a funding code. If any of the services on this screen has a funding code C, which is for customized living, do not delete those codes when the person exits the program. These codes allow the line items on the service agreement to be authorized. I press Control to move to Alt-6, which will appear because this is a person using the alternative care program. On Alt-6, the County of Financial Responsibility, or CFR, gross income and assets, adjusted income and assets, Medicare eligibility, AC fee waived, and AC fee assessed fields are blank. The address should be kept up to date so letters and AC fee invoices are mailed to the correct address. The AC income and asset fields are updated on an annual basis using activity type 05 and assessment result 32. The essential community supports income and asset fields are updated on an annual basis using activity type 05 and assessment result 98. I re-enter those figures along with the new Medicare information, change the citizenship value to 1, and use the F9 key to enter the document. Review and resolve edits. Let's review and fix the edits posting on this document. Each edit has a status code shown in green. Edits with a 6 status are informational and they do not keep the document from being approved. Review the edit, and if no action is needed, you can ignore it. Edits with a 4 status keep the document in suspense and need to be corrected or forced in order to save the document in an approved status. Examples shown here are edits 820 and 818. Edits with a 3 status will deny the document if not corrected when you save the document. Forcing an edit is another option which we discussed in Session 8, Part 1. The edit line at the bottom of the screen will show up to 4 edits. When a plus sign is at the end of the edit line, you'll need to use the F8 key to scroll ahead to view more edits. The F7 key will take you back to the beginning of the line. There can be up to 25 edits posting on a document at once. The title of the first edit shows below the line at the bottom of the screen. In many cases, the title provides enough information to identify the problem. I can place the cursor on edit 820 and press the F1 key to show its title. If you need more information, place the cursor on the edit number or status again and use the F4 key. A reference screen now appears giving more detail about why the edit posted, where the problem is located, how to correct it, and if the edit is forcible. You may need to use the F7 and F8 keys to scroll on the entire edit text if a plus sign shows at the bottom of this reference screen. The exit key F3 or F6 brings you back to the document. Be careful not to hit F6 too many times or you will exit your document without saving it. In many cases, the title provides enough information to identify the problem. When you place the cursor on the edit and press the F1 key, it will show its title. I'm going to demonstrate the use of the F4 key to show more information about the edit by going to a reference screen. I use the Tab key to bring the cursor to the next edit, and again I'm going to use the F4 key while the cursor is on the edit number or status because I want to take a look at this full edit text. You will continue in this manner to identify each problem using the F7 or F8 keys to scroll on the list when there are more than 4 edits. I can correct each edit by moving to the field where the problem is located, change the value, and use the F9 key again after each correction to remove the edit. It's important to use the F9 key after each correction because some edits post as a combination or are more difficult to resolve. You might need to navigate to the recipient subsystem using the F4 key for those edits that indicate an eligibility problem. These recipient screens were reviewed in Sessions 5. Typical screening document edits. You can use DHS Form 3427 as a guide to show you which alt screen contains the field you need to correct. Some edits check if all mandatory fields are completed. The title for Edit 820 told me there was a problem in the reason for referral field. I navigate to the Alt 2 screen by typing Alt 2 in the next field at the top of the left-hand corner of the screen. The Home key on my keyboard brings me to this field. I see that the primary reason field has been left blank. I type in the missing value, use the F9 key, and that edit is removed. Some fields allow more than one answer to be entered, but edits check that the answers are not duplicates. Placing the cursor on edit 818, then using the F4 key tells me there is a duplicate value in the present at screening field. This field is also on the Alt-2 screen, where I remove the duplicate from that field and press F9 to edit again. The edit is now resolved, so it is removed from the edit line. Some edits check for invalid values. Edit 806 reference indicates a problem with one of the service codes. I navigate to the Alt-5 screen using the Control key and change the invalid value P to an F using the F9 key again, and the edit is removed. Other edits compare one field to another. If I look at the text behind edit 642, it shows the reason why activity type 07 is not valid. The title for edit 643 shows the edit is checking for the correct combination of assessment result, program type, and activity type. There are charts in Chapter 201.06 of the MMIS Manual, DHS 4625, that show the correct combinations of program type, activity type, and assessment result. I see that assessment result 13 is not compatible with activity type 07. I change the assessment result to 49, use the F9 key, and both edits are removed in this case. Some edits check for other problems with valid values. Edit 910 and 114 are posting against the Case Manager, Care Coordinator, Certified Assessor Provider field located on the Alt-1 screen. I type in Alt-1 in the next field at the top left-hand corner of the page, press Control, and go to that screen. If I bring the cursor over to the Case Manager Provider number and press the F key, I can see that it is a valid number for provider type 27, but provider type 27 is an enrolled care coordinator for a health plan. While this is a valid provider number, it is not correct because the person is not enrolled in managed care. Okay, now I must find the correct provider type 23 case manager number. I use the F5 key that will bring up a screen to type in the name of the case manager at the top of the screen. When I press F4 again, notice that this case manager has both provider type 23, the county or tribe, and 27, work for a health plan, as provider numbers. Since the person is not enrolled with managed care, I write down the provider type 23 number. The F3 or F6 key brings me back to the document where I correct that case manager number and again use the F9 key. The edit is resolved and the remaining edit is 885. As you can see by the title of this edit, the AC fee assessment field is a problem. That is on Alt-6, and I use the Home key to go there, and now I can see that I have left this field blank. And once I corrected that and did F9 again to edit the document, all edits are resolved and the status on the document has been changed to approve. Before I save this screening document, I want to remind you that the initial screening document updated the recipient subsystem, RELG, and R-SUM screens with major program AC and a 90-day period. When all status 3 or 4 edits have been resolved or forced and the document status is approved, I save the document using the F3 key. This exits you out of the document back to the key panel screen, and a message action completed is shown at the bottom of the screen. If you didn't want to save this document, use the F6 key, which will also exit you back to the key panel screen with the message action canceled. Remember, using the F key does not give you a warning or other opportunity to cancel the exit action and delete the data entered. Let's look at the recipient subsystem again. Back on the key panel screen, I change the action code to inquiry and press the Control key. A selection screen now appears showing both documents that were saved. I can select either document by placing an X on the line and pressing the Control key. Now that I'm back in that document, I use the F4 key to review those recipient screens again. Now notice the major program AC on the RSUM and RELG screens has an extended eligibility span now that that citizenship field was changed to citizenship established with a value of 1. The service agreement may now be extended up to the new 12-month period. The RMCR screen shows the Medicare span from the document. In reviewing edits, you may need to use the F4 key to view data in other subsystems. Review the person's file, contact the financial worker, a contract manager or other staff, another agency, or the HS Resource Center. You can still save the document in suspense using F3. Don't use F6 or you will lose all of the valid data you have entered. It's okay to save a document before finishing it or before all edits are resolved. When you return to the suspended document to finish it, MMIS brings up a copy to work on. When you finish resolving the edits and save it, the original suspended document will now have a status of replaced, and the new saved document takes its place. Remember, MMIS ignores all documents without an approved status when looking for screening documents to determine an eligibility span, allow service agreements to be entered, and apply other logic. In Session 8B, or Part 3 of Session 8, we will focus on the data enter and resolving edits for the document type H, health risk assessment screenings. Differences between the two document types are explained in Session 7 and 8B. Session 13 explains how to delete both types of documents. This concludes Session 8A. To send comments or questions about the content of this session, please use the survey on the Aging training page.